Captain Thyma pressed her four-fingered hand against the cold metal wall of the bridge. The emergency lights painted everything in a deep red color. Her ship, the Celestial Wanderer, was dying. She could feel it in the way the floor shook beneath her feet. She could hear it in the groaning of twisted metal. The Valoran merchant vessel had been traveling through the outer rim, carrying medical supplies to the colony on Kepler 442. It was supposed to be a safe route. The Krex Dominion rarely came this far out. But rarely did not mean never. "Captain, the engines are completely dead," her engineer Korvax reported. His voice was calm, but Thyma could see his tail twitching. Among their people, that meant fear. The raiders knew exactly where to hit us. Thyma looked through the main view screen. 3 Krex battlecruisers hung in space like predators circling wounded prey. Each ship was twice the size of the Celestial Wanderer. Their black hulls seemed to swallow the light from nearby stars. Weapon ports glowed orange, ready to fire again. "How long until they board us?" Thyma asked. 20 minutes, maybe less, her security officer replied. "Captain, we both know what the Krex do to survivors." Everyone on the bridge fell silent. They all knew. The Krex Dominion did not just kill. They took slaves. They broke minds. They enjoyed suffering. The lucky ones died in the first attack. "Send another distress call," Thyma ordered. "All frequencies." Captain, her communications officer, a young Valoran named Zetha, spoke up. "I have been sending calls for the past hour. The nearest Allied fleet is 3 days away. The Altarian peacekeepers are 5 days out. Nobody can reach us in time." Thyma closed her large black eyes. Her crew had families. Zetha had just become a parent. Korvax was 2 years from retirement. They deserved better than this. "Captain," Zetha said suddenly, "there is one option, but it is strange. Tell me, the humans. They use primitive electromagnetic frequencies that most species ignore, but their settlements are closer than any Allied fleet. There is a human mining station only 3 hours from here." The bridge crew exchanged looks. Humans were the newest species to join the galactic community. They had only discovered faster-than-light travel 50 years ago. Most species still considered them children, playing with technology they barely understood. "Captain, with respect," Korvax said, "what could humans possibly do? Their entire fleet is maybe 200 ships. Most of them are old and slow. The Krex would destroy them. They would just die alongside us," the security officer added. "The Krex battlecruisers have shields that could withstand a sun's corona. Human weapons are projectiles and basic lasers. They might as well throw rocks." Thyma watched the Krex ships moving closer. One of them fired a warning shot across their bow. The message was clear. Surrender or die. Though with the Krex, surrender just meant a slower death. "Send the message to the humans," Thyma decided. "Captain," Korvax started. "What else can we do?" Thyma interrupted. "Die quietly? Let the Krex take us without even trying? At least this way, someone will know what happened to us." Zetha's fingers moved across her console. "What should I say?" "Keep it simple. They might not understand complex galactic standard. Just tell them we need help." Zetha nodded and began working. The bridge fell quiet except for the sound of damaged systems and distant explosions from the lower decks. After a moment, Zetha spoke. "Message sent, Captain. I used their emergency frequency, the one they call SOS. I sent our coordinates, ship identification, and..." She paused. "I just said, please help us. I do not know if they will understand more than that." The largest Krex ship moved forward. Its commander appeared on their view screen. The Krex looked like a nightmare made real. Gray skin stretched over a skull too large for its body. 6 eyes arranged in 2 rows. Teeth that were made for tearing meat. "Vessel Celestial Wanderer," the Krex commander spoke, his voice like grinding stone. "You will surrender now. Your cargo will be taken. Your crew will serve the Dominion. Resist and we will make your last hours memorable. You have 5 minutes to lower what remains of your shields." The transmission cut off. Thyma looked at her crew. 23 souls. Good people who had done nothing wrong except travel through space at the wrong time. "How long until the humans could even receive our message?" she asked. "At light speed, about 4 minutes, Zetha answered. "But Captain, even if they heard us, even if they wanted to help, they could not possibly die." A loud beep interrupted her. Then another. Then dozens more. The sensor station lit up like a festival display. "Captain," the sensor officer shouted. "Hyperspace signatures detected. Multiple contacts. The Krex are bringing more ships?" Korvax asked, his voice breaking. "No, sir. These signatures, they are different. They are. The officer's eyes went wide. Captain, I am reading over 400 hyperspace signatures approaching our position, all from the direction of human space. The bridge went completely silent. That is impossible, Korvax whispered. Check your sensors again. I have checked 3 times. 437 contacts, various sizes, different energy signatures. They are. Captain, the humans are coming. All of them. They are all coming. Thyma felt something she had not felt in the past hour. Hope. It was small and fragile, but it was there. The Krex commander appeared on screen again. What trick is this? What allies have you called? Before Thyma could respond, space itself seemed to tear apart. Ships burst from hyperspace in flashes of blue light, first dozens, then hundreds. They came in all shapes and sizes. Military cruisers with sharp angles and weapon ports, bulk carriers that looked like they had guns welded to their hulls, sleek fighters that darted between the larger vessels, ships that looked ancient next to others that seemed fresh from shipyards. The human fleet spread out surrounding the Krex battle cruisers. A massive ship painted in gray with UES Retribution on its hull moved to the front. A new voice came through the communication system. It spoke in accented galactic standard, but the message was clear. Krex vessels, this is Admiral Chen of the United Earth Fleet. You are targeting a ship that sent a distress signal. You will release them and leave this space immediately. You have 3 minutes to comply. The Krex commander appeared on a split screen. His 6 eyes were wide with surprise, but then he laughed. It was an ugly sound. Humans, the children of the galaxy, dare to threaten the Krex dominion. Our technology is centuries ahead of yours. Our ships are superior in every way. You bring scrap metal to fight warships. Stand down before we destroy you all. Admiral Chen appeared on the screen. She was middle-aged for a human, with gray streaking through black hair. Her face showed no emotion, but her eyes were hard as stone. Your funeral, she said simply. Then the transmission cut. Thyma watched the sensor displays. The human ships were moving into attack formations, but these were not the careful, practiced movements that most fleets used. It was barely controlled chaos. Ships of all sizes mixed together. Cargo haulers flew next to military destroyers. Mining vessels took positions beside what looked like a floating museum piece. Captain, Zetha said quietly, the humans. They brought everything. These are not just military ships. They brought civilian vessels, private ships, everything that could fly and fight. Why? Korvax asked. Why would they do this? They do not know us. We are nothing to them. Thyma had no answer. She watched the human fleet spread out like a net around the Krex ships. The 3 battle cruisers that had seemed so terrifying moments ago now looked small against the swarm of human vessels. Krex vessels. Admiral Chen's voice returned. Your 3 minutes are up. Last chance. Leave now, or we will make you leave. The Krex commander's response was to open fire on the nearest human ship. The green energy beam struck a small human corvette, cutting through its shields and hull. The ship exploded in a ball of fire. For a heartbeat, nothing happened. Then space itself seemed to explode as 400 human ships opened fire at once. The space around the celestial wanderer turned into a storm of light and death. Every human ship fired at once, not in the coordinated volleys that most space battles used, but in a wild, angry swarm of destruction. Lasers, projectiles, missiles, and weapons Thyma could not identify filled the void. The Krex shields held, but Thyma could see them flashing and flickering under the assault. The 3 battle cruisers returned fire, their advanced weapons cutting through space with deadly accuracy. 2 more human ships exploded, then 3 more. But the humans did not stop. They did not even slow down. Captain, I am receiving transmissions from the human fleet, Zetha reported. They are on open channels. Everyone can hear them. Put them through, Thyma ordered. The bridge speakers came alive with human voices. They were speaking in their own languages mostly, but some used broken galactic standard. This is the cargo hauler Big Betty. We have bolted mining lasers to our hull. Moving to attack position. Private security vessel linebacker here. We are going in hot. This is Captain Petrov of the merchant vessel Lucky Strike. We are not military, but nobody attacks innocents on our watch. Fishing vessel Sea Eagle reporting. We may be small, but we brought torpedoes. Thyma could not believe what she was hearing. These were not all soldiers. They were miners, traders, security guards, and even fishermen. Humans from every walk of life had answered their distress call. On the view screen, a Krex battle cruiser targeted a large human transport. The green beam lanced out, but before it could strike, 3 smaller human ships moved into its path. They took the hit meant for the larger vessel, disappearing in balls of flame. "They are protecting each other," Korvac said, wonder in his voice. "The smaller ships are sacrificing themselves for the larger ones." The human transport that had been saved did not retreat. Instead, it accelerated directly toward the Krex ship that had fired. As it approached, its cargo bay doors opened. Thyma expected to see fighters launch, but instead, the ship started firing what looked like mining charges. Hundreds of them, usually used to break apart asteroids, now repurposed as weapons. The Krex ship's shields flared and sparked. They were military-grade, designed to withstand capital ship weapons, but they were not designed for hundreds of small explosions happening all at once. The shield flickered and failed for just a second. In that second, 20 human ships concentrated their fire on the same spot. The Krex hull, without its shields, cracked and split. Atmosphere vented into space. "Impossible," the security officer breathed. "They found a weakness." "They actually hurt a Krex battlecruiser." Admiral Chen's voice cut through the chatter. "All ships implement Scatter Protocol 7. Confuse their targeting systems. Make them work for every shot." The human fleet's movement became even more chaotic. Ships flew in spirals, loops, and patterns that seemed random. The Krex weapons, designed to target predictable flight paths, struggled to lock on. More human ships died. But for every one that fell, the others pressed harder. Then Thema saw something that made her question her eyes. A ship was approaching from the human fleet that looked ancient. Its design was different from the others, with solar sails and what appeared to be wooden decorative elements. "Is that a museum ship?" Zetha asked. The vessel was the HMS Victory III, according to its hull markings. It looked like it belonged in a historical display, not a battle. But as it turned, Thema could see modern weapons had been attached to every available surface. The Victory III broadcast on all channels. The voice was young, excited even. "This is Captain Harrison of the Victory. My great-great-grandfather fought in the Battle of Mars. Today we honor his memory. For Earth! For humanity! For anyone who calls for help!" The museum ship fired everything it had. Ancient projectile weapons mixed with modern lasers. It was not particularly effective against the Krex shields, but it added to the overwhelming volume of fire. The lead Krex commander appeared on screen again. His 6 eyes no longer showed arrogance. There was something else there. Confusion, maybe even fear. "This is madness," he shouted. "You are dying for strangers. You are throwing away your lives for people you have never met." "Why?" Admiral Chen appeared on the split screen. Behind her, her bridge showed damage and smoke, but her expression remained calm. "You want to know why?" she asked. 17 minutes ago, we received a distress call. Someone needed help. That is all the reason we need. You will all die for this foolishness." "Maybe," Chen agreed. "But you will die first." The battle continued to rage. A human mining vessel rammed into the side of a Krex cruiser. The mining ship exploded, but not before its industrial drilling equipment had punched through the enemy's hull. Another group of human ships worked together, using their tractor beams not to pull cargo, but to grab pieces of destroyed ships and fling them at the Krex vessels like massive projectiles. "Captain," the sensor officer called out. "More hyperspace signatures detected?" Thyma's heart sank. "Were more Krex coming?" "No, Captain," the officer continued, reading her expression. "More humans. Another 100 ships just arrived." "That is impossible," Korvac said. "Where are they all coming from?" The new ships were even more varied than the first wave. Some looked like racing vessels with weapons strapped on. Others appeared to be private yachts converted for battle. One was clearly a hospital ship, but even it had defensive weapons. A new voice joined the communication channels. It spoke in heavily accented Galactic Standard. "This is the new Beijing colony fleet. We heard the call. We are here to help." Another voice. "Australian Mining Consortium reporting in. We brought the big drills. Canadian escort fleet present. Sorry we are late. Traffic was bad." The Krex battlecruisers were now outnumbered almost 200 to 1. Their superior technology meant they were still dangerous. Human ships continued to die, but for every human vessel destroyed, 10 more seemed ready to take its place. Thyma watched one particular human ship, a small courier vessel, weaving between the massive Krex weapons. It was so small and fast that the big guns could not track it. As she watched, the tiny ship flew directly at a Krex battlecruiser's command bridge. firing its single laser the entire way. The laser was not powerful enough to breach the shields, but the pilot kept firing anyway. The Kreks, apparently annoyed by this gnat, diverted power to swat it away. The courier ship exploded in a small flash. But in that moment, with power diverted, the Krek ship's main shields weakened. Immediately, 50 human ships concentrated fire on that exact spot. They are learning, Thyma realized. They are adapting their tactics in real time. The humans were not winning through superior technology or firepower. They were winning through sheer determination and an apparent complete disregard for their own safety. Every death made them fight harder. Every loss made them more creative. A large human battleship, one of their few actual military vessels, moved between the Celestial Wanderer and the nearest Krek ship. It took 3 direct hits meant for Thyma's vessel. The human ship's hull cracked, atmosphere venting, fires visible through the breaches. But it did not retreat. Instead, it fired all its weapons at once in a massive barrage that finally overloaded the Krek shields completely. The enemy battlecruiser was suddenly vulnerable. All ships, Admiral Chen commanded, target the exposed vessel. Everything you have. The focused fire of hundreds of human ships struck the unshielded Krek's battlecruiser. Its hull did not stand a chance. The ship broke apart in a massive explosion that lit up space like a small star. 2 Krek's battlecruisers remained. But something had changed. The predators had become prey. The hunters were now the hunted. The second Krek ship tried to retreat, engaging its hyperspace drive. But 3 human ships, including the Museum Peace Victory III, rammed into it simultaneously. The collision disrupted the hyperspace field. The Krek ship tumbled through space, crippled. Only the lead Krek's battlecruiser remained fully operational. Its commander appeared on screen one more time. His 6 eyes showed something no one had ever seen in a Kreks before. Fear of humans. This is not over, he snarled. The Dominion will remember this. We will return with 1,000 ships. And we will be waiting, Admiral Chen replied. With 2,000. The Krek's commander cut the transmission. His ship began to retreat, leaving behind his crippled companion. But the humans were not done. The retreating Krek's battlecruiser made it exactly 3,000 kilometers before something extraordinary happened. A civilian transport ship, marked with symbols from something called Bob's Shipping and Handling, jumped directly into its path. The transport was not trying to ram the Krek's vessel. Instead, its cargo doors opened and it released its entire load. Thousands of metal containers tumbled into space, directly in the path of the Krek ship. They were simple shipping containers, each one filled with mining ore. At the speed the Krek's ship was traveling, hitting them would be like flying through a field of massive bullets. The Krek's commander had 2 choices: stop and fight or try to navigate through the field and risk damage. He chose to stop. That was when the galaxy learned how humans really fought. Now, Admiral Chen's voice rang out. Show them why Earth is classified as a death world. The human fleet's tactics changed instantly. The chaos suddenly had a pattern. Ships that had seemed to be moving randomly were actually herding the Krek's vessels into specific positions. The wild shooting was not random at all. It was designed to overwhelm and confuse. A group of mining ships moved forward. They were using their industrial equipment in ways never intended. Magnetic grapples meant for moving asteroids locked onto pieces of destroyed ships and began spinning them like massive flails. When they released them, the debris became relativistic projectiles moving at incredible speeds. The Krek shields, already weakened from the battle, could not handle the kinetic impacts. They flickered and sparked. Captain, Setha said, her voice shaking. I am detecting unusual energy signatures from several human ships. These readings, they should not be possible. On the screen, a bulky human vessel moved forward. It looked like a converted colony ship, the kind used to transport thousands of people to new worlds, but its colony bays had been modified. As the bay doors opened, Thyma saw something that made her blood freeze. Those are antimatter torpedoes, Korvax whispered. The humans actually built antimatter weapons. That is insane. One mistake and they would destroy their own ship. Not just insane, the security officer added. It is banned by 17 different galactic treaties. But humans had only been in space for 50 years. They had not signed those treaties. They did not know what was considered too dangerous to use. The colony ship fired. 12 antimatter torpedoes streaked through space. The Krek's commander saw them coming and tried to shoot them down. His weapons destroyed 8. 4 made it through. The explosions were visible from 3 solar systems away. The Krek's shields did not just fail. They overloaded so completely that the feedback destroyed half the ship's power systems. The mighty battlecruiser was suddenly running on emergency power only. But the humans were not done showing the galaxy their madness. Small boarding craft launched from dozens of human ships. They were not military dropships. They were maintenance pods, shuttlecraft, and even what looked like modified escape pods, each one packed with humans in powered armor. They are going to board a Krek's battlecruiser? Thyma could not believe it. That is suicide. The Kreks are twice their size and 3 times as strong. The boarding craft approached the crippled Krek's vessel. Most were destroyed by point defense weapons, but humans kept sending more. For every pod destroyed, 2 more launched. Finally, some made it through. They attached to the Krek's hull like parasites. The human broadcasts continued on open channels. Marine Squad Alpha has breached their hull. We are going in. This is Sergeant Williams. Tell my kids I love them. Detonating breach charges now. Squad Delta here. We have found their weapon systems. Placing demolition charges, Thyma realized with horror what the humans were doing. They were not trying to capture the ship. Each boarding party was carrying nuclear demolition charges. They were turning themselves into guided missiles. The Krek's battlecruiser shook as explosions rippled across its hull. Not from outside, but from within. The humans who made it aboard were detonating their charges, taking out critical systems and themselves in the process. They are insane, the security officer said. They are absolutely insane. Meanwhile, the functioning Krek's battlecruiser was trying to fight off the swarm of human ships. But something else was happening. The human ships were communicating constantly, sharing data and tactics in real time. Kreks, weapon charge time is 4.7 seconds. Shield, frequency rotates every 12 seconds. Weak spot detected at coordinates 445.7221. They cannot track targets moving faster than 3C relative. The humans were learning, adapting, evolving their tactics in the middle of battle. Every mistake taught them something. Every death gave them data. They were not just fighting. They were solving a problem, and the problem was how to destroy something stronger than them. A small human fighter, barely big enough for one person, accelerated to an incredible speed. It was moving so fast that it began to glow from friction with the sparse particles in space. This was not a normal attack run. This was something else. Relativistic kill vehicle, Korvax breathed. They turned a fighter into a relativistic weapon. The fighter was moving at 20% the speed of light when it struck the Krek's shields. The impact was like nothing Thyma had ever seen. The shields did not just fail. They shattered like glass. The feedback surge destroyed every shield generator on the ship. The fighter and its pilot were vaporized instantly, but their sacrifice had left the Krek's battlecruiser completely exposed. Admiral Chen's voice was cold now. All ships, kill it. The concentrated fire of 300 human ships struck the unshielded battlecruiser. Lasers, projectiles, missiles, antimatter torpedoes, and even thrown debris hammered the Krek's vessel. Its hull, strong as it was, could not withstand that level of punishment. But even as it died, the Krek's commander managed one last transmission. Not to the humans, but to his own fleet, to his empire. Warning to all Dominion forces. The humans are not what we thought. They do not fight with logic. They do not fear death. They weaponize everything. Their civilian ships are warships. Their cargo haulers are weapons platforms. They will ram you with museums. They will throw asteroids. They will board your ships with nuclear bombs. Avoid human space. Avoid anyone the humans protect. They are all insane. The transmission cut as the Krek's battlecruiser exploded. Only the crippled Krek's vessel remained, floating dead in space, its systems destroyed by the human boarding parties who had given their lives to cripple it from within. The battle was over. But the aftermath was just beginning. Admiral Chen's voice echoed across all channels. Medical ships move in to collect escape pods and render aid. Engineering vessels begin salvage operations. All ships report casualties. The numbers started coming in. 43 human ships destroyed. Over 800 humans dead. Many more wounded. They had paid a terrible price for their victory. Thema watched the human fleet reorganizing. Ships that moments ago had been weapons of chaos were now becoming rescue vessels. The same mining ships that had thrown debris were now carefully collecting escape pods. The cargo haulers were distributing medical supplies. Captain, Zetha said quietly, the humans are approaching us. Admiral Chen is requesting permission to board. Permission granted, Thyma said, still in shock from what she had witnessed. 10 minutes later, Admiral Chen stood on the bridge of the Celestial Wanderer. In person, she looked tired. Her uniform was torn. Blood, her own from a cut on her forehead, had dried on her face, but her eyes were still strong. Captain Tima, she said in accented galactic standard, are your people safe? Do you need medical assistance? We are. We are alive thanks to you, Thyma managed. But Admiral, why? Why did you do this? You lost so many people. You did not know us. We are not allies. We are not even the same species. Admiral Chen smiled. It was a sad smile. You sent a distress signal. You asked for help. But the cost, there is no cost too high to do what is right. Chen interrupted. On Earth we have a saying. Today you, tomorrow me. Today it was you who needed help. Tomorrow it might be us. But even if it never is, even if we never see you again, it was still the right thing to do. Thyma felt tears in her 4 eyes. 800 of your people died for strangers. 800 heroes, Chen corrected. Who will be remembered forever as those who answered the call? The Admiral's communication device beeped. She listened for a moment, then smiled, this time genuinely. Captain, we are detecting multiple hyperspace signatures incoming. But do not worry. These are more human ships. The word has spread. Ships from every human colony, station, and outpost are coming to make sure you get home safely. How many? Thyma asked. At current count, over 1,000. And more are coming. The entire human merchant fleet has volunteered to escort you home. Thyma could not speak. 1,000 ships to escort one merchant vessel home. It was absurd. It was excessive. It was human. The bridge of the Celestial Wanderer had become crowded. Human engineers worked alongside Valoran crew to repair critical systems. The contrast was striking. The Valorans, with their tall, slim frames and 4 arms, moved with careful precision. The humans, shorter and bulkier, seemed to fix things by hitting them with tools and swearing at them in multiple languages. Try it now, a human engineer shouted from inside an open panel. Sparks flew, followed by more swearing, then suddenly the main lights came back on. How did you do that? Korvax asked in wonder. That system was completely fused. The human engineer, a woman with grease-covered hands, grinned. We call it percussive maintenance. Sometimes you just need to show a machine who is boss. Through the view screen, Thyma watched the human fleet growing. Ships kept arriving from hyperspace. It was not just military or merchant vessels anymore. Private yachts, racing ships, industrial haulers, science vessels, and even what looked like a floating casino had joined the escort fleet. Admiral Chen stood beside her, reading reports on a tablet. The message has spread across all human space. Every ship that can fly and fight is coming. This must be costing your government a fortune, Thyma said. Chen laughed. Government? Half these ships are not government. They are volunteers. Private citizens who heard someone needed help. No one is paying them. They are paying their own fuel costs to be here. Before Thyma could respond, alarms started blaring. Not from her ship, but from the human vessels. Every human ship in the fleet suddenly went to battle stations. What is happening? Thyma asked. Chen's face had gone hard. Long-range sensors are detecting a Krex fleet approaching. 50 ships, including 2 dreadnoughts. She turned to Thyma. You should prepare your crew. This is going to get worse before it gets better. On the screen, the human fleet was already reorganizing. The 1,000 ships that had come as escorts were transforming into a battle fleet. Even the casino ship was deploying what looked like gambling machines converted into projectile weapons. Admiral, one of Chen's officers called over comms. The Krex are broadcasting. Put them through. The image that appeared was not the previous commander. This was someone higher in the Krex hierarchy. His armor was more elaborate, his 6 eyes arranged in a pattern that meant authority among their kind. I am War Master Thrax of the Krex Dominion, he announced. You have destroyed our ships and killed our warriors. This is an act of war. Surrender the Valoran vessel and we may allow some of you to live as slaves. Chen did not hesitate. War Master Thrax, I am Admiral Chen of the United Earth Fleet. Here is our counteroffer. Leave now and you get to live. Stay and fight and we will turn your ships into floating scrap metal. You have 1 minute to decide. You dare threaten the Dominion? You killed 3 ships with trickery and luck. We bring 50. You will all die. Your math is wrong, Chen replied calmly. Check your sensors again. There was a pause. Thema could imagine the War Master checking his displays, seeing not the few hundred ships from the first battle, but over 1,000 human vessels, with more arriving every minute. It matters not, Thrax said, though his voice carried less certainty. Our technology is superior. Our warriors are stronger. We will crush you. 1 minute, Chen repeated and cut the transmission. She turned to her communications officer. Open a channel to all human ships. Channel open, Admiral, Chen spoke, and her words were broadcast to every human vessel and recorded for history. My fellow humans, citizens of Earth and all colonies, before us stands an enemy that believes might makes right. They attack the helpless. They take slaves. They think we are weak because we are young to the stars. They think we are fools because we help strangers. Let us show them the strength of human kindness. Let us show them what happens when humanity stands united. Today we fight not for glory or conquest, but for the simple principle that when someone calls for help, we answer. All ships prepare for battle. And remember, today you, tomorrow me. A roar went through the communication channels. Not an organized military, yes sir, but a chaotic, multilingual expression of determination. Battle cries in dozens of Earth languages mixed together. The human fleet spread out into a formation that looked like chaos but had hidden patterns. Thema was beginning to understand human tactics. They looked disorganized to confuse enemies who expected traditional battle lines. The Krex fleet dropped from hyperspace in perfect formation, 50 ships arranged in traditional Dominion attack pattern. Their technology was indeed superior. Their ships were larger, their weapons more powerful, their shields stronger, but they had never fought humans before. Not really. The 3 ships from earlier had been overconfident. These 50 were prepared for a traditional battle. They did not get one. The first human ship to attack was the casino vessel. It launched what looked like slot machines at the Krex fleet. The Krex did not even bother to shoot them down. Why would they? They were just gambling machines. The slot machines exploded in brilliant flashes of light and electromagnetic pulses. They were not weapons. They were sensor jammers, each one broadcasting false signals and ghost images. Suddenly, the Krex sensors showed not 1,000 human ships, but 10,000. While the Krex computers tried to sort real from false, the humans attacked for real. A group of racing ships, built for speed and nothing else, accelerated to incredible velocities. They flew straight at the Krex formation, then at the last second released their cargo. Hundreds of small nuclear mines, each no bigger than a basketball, scattered among the Krex fleet. The Krex point defenses engaged, destroying most of the mines. But in focusing on the mines, they missed the real threat. Human boarding craft, hidden among the debris from the first battle, had drifted close under minimal power. Now they came alive, attaching to Krex hulls like remoras on sharks. Boarding parties away, someone reported. May they find glory in Valhalla. Thema did not know what Valhalla was, but she understood the meaning. These humans expected to die. They were going anyway. The battle erupted in full. The Krex dreadnoughts opened fire with weapons that could crack moons. Human ships died by the dozens, but for every ship destroyed, the others adapted. They learned the charge time of the dreadnought weapons. They calculated blind spots. They shared everything in real time. A human science vessel, never meant for combat, had been analyzing the Krex shields throughout the battle. Its captain, a professor according to the communications, broadcast her findings. Their shields operate on a rotating frequency. But there is a pattern. Every 47 seconds, for exactly 0.3 seconds, the frequency drops to recalibrate. If we time our shots exactly right, the human fleet adjusted instantly. Hundreds of ships began counting down, timing their attacks to hit that 0.3 second window. Meanwhile, the boarding parties were reporting in. These reports were different from the earlier ones. These humans had learned from the first assault. We have reached their engine core. Not detonating yet. We are going to see if we can overload it first. Found their computer core. Uploading virus now. Let us see how they like 20,000 hours of cat videos. This is Corporal Martinez. We are in their life support. Not destroying it. Just setting it to play human music at maximum volume. They will surrender or go deaf. The Krex were warriors. They were conquerors. They were not prepared for this kind of psychological warfare. Human music, apparently something called death metal, began blasting through several Krex ships. The cat videos were overloading their tactical computers. Their engines were running backwards, but the Krex were still dangerous. Their weapons were still superior. Human ships continued to die. The count was over 100 now. But something remarkable was happening. For every human ship destroyed, 2 more dropped from hyperspace to take its place. "Admiral," the communications officer called. "I am receiving a message from Earth, from the President." "What does it say?" "It says the entirety of Earth stands with you. Every shipyard is building. Every pilot is volunteering. If they want a war, they will get one. Humanity stands united." The War Master must have been monitoring human communications because his face appeared on screen again. This time his 6 eyes showed not just fear but bewilderment. "What are you?" he demanded. "You celebrate death. You sing while you die. You turn gambling machines into weapons. You attack with museum pieces. What species does this?" Admiral Chen smiled. It was not a nice smile. "We are humans. We are the species that climbed to the top of our food chain on a death world. We survived ice ages, plagues, and each other. We split the atom and walked on our moon. And when someone asks for help, we answer, all of us." As if to emphasize her point, another wave of human ships dropped from hyperspace. These were even stranger than the ones before. One looked like a floating farm, complete with agricultural equipment repurposed as weapons. Another was clearly a traveling circus ship, painted in bright colors with the amazing Anderson Circus on its hull. The circus ship immediately did something impossible. It launched what appeared to be trained animals in spacesuits at the Krex fleet. Not to attack, but to confuse. The sight of Earth bears floating through space was so bizarre that several Krex gunners stopped firing just to stare. "Are those bears?" Thyma asked. "Holographic bears," Chen explained. "But the Krex do not know that." The silence from the Krex flagship lasted exactly 10 seconds. Then every human who had boarded it reported in at once. "This is Lieutenant Wong. We found their main computer core and introduced it to a gaming virus. Their entire system is now trying to run something called Doom. Sergeant Thompson here. We convinced their AI that it does not exist. It is having an existential crisis," Private Jenkins reporting. "I did not mean to break their main power coupling. I just leaned on it and it snapped. Their construction quality is terrible. The massive dreadnought, pride of the Krex fleet, was dead in space because humans had broken it from the inside with computer viruses, philosophical paradoxes, and apparently just by touching things too hard." War Master Thrax appeared on screen from his other dreadnought. His 6 eyes were wide with something beyond fear now. It was complete incomprehension, surrender, he shouted, but not at the humans. At his own fleet. "All Krex ships retreat immediately. Full withdrawal." But it was too late for an organized retreat. Half the Krex ships had humans aboard them. Some were playing music so loud the crews could not hear orders. Others had their navigation systems convinced they were flying backwards. One destroyer was stuck in a loop where all its food synthesizers would only make something humans called pineapple pizza. The Krex fleet scattered in complete disorder. Ships fled in every direction. Some made it to hyperspace. Others were too damaged. The War Master's own dreadnought managed to jump away, but not before broadcasting one final message. Not to the humans, but to the entire galaxy on all frequencies. Warning to all civilizations. The humans are not what they appear. They are chaos given form. They weaponize everything. Their civilians are warriors. Their cargo ships are battleships. They will board your vessels with nuclear weapons. They will throw casinos at you. They will make your computers watch cat videos. They smile while they die. They sing in battle. They help strangers for no profit. Stay away from human space. Stay away from anyone they protect. They are all insane. As the last Krex ship fled or floated disabled, the human fleet began to cheer. Not a military victory cry, but the chaotic, joyful noise of 1,000 ships worth of humans celebrating. Music played. Horns honked. Someone set off fireworks in space, which made no sense but looked pretty against the darkness. Admiral Chen turned to Thyma. "Captain, we will escort you and your crew home. Every human ship here has volunteered to ensure your safe passage." "Every ship?" Thyma looked at the fleet that now numbered over 1,500 vessels. "That is not necessary. The Krex are gone." "Maybe," Chen agreed. "But we started this job and we will finish it. Besides, some of these people traveled 3 days to get here. They would be disappointed if they did not get to escort you home properly." The journey to Valoran space took 2 days. For 2 days, Thyma's small merchant vessel was surrounded by the strangest fleet in galactic history. Military ships flew beside gambling vessels. Mining ships stayed in formation with racing yachts. A hospital ship that had treated wounded was comparing notes with a party cruise that had weaponized its disco lights. During the journey, the human crews visited the Celestial Wanderer. They brought gifts. Coffee, which was apparently a sacred human beverage. Chocolate, which Thyma discovered was possibly addictive. Something called duct tape, which the human engineers claimed could fix anything. "This is insanity," Korvac said. "Watching human engineers use duct tape to repair a critical power coupling. That should not work." "If it is stupid but it works, it is not stupid," the engineer replied, which seemed to be a human philosophy. When they reached Valoran space, the home fleet was waiting. 50 Valoran defense ships, the pride of their military, arranged in perfect formation. They looked elegant and advanced. Next to the chaotic human fleet, they also looked very small. The Valoran admiral contacted Thyma directly. "Captain, what is this? Why are there 1,500 human vessels in our space?" "They are escorting us home, Admiral." They answered our distress call. "All of them?" Before Thyma could answer, Admiral Chen spoke on an open channel. "Valoran Defense Fleet, this is Admiral Chen of the United Earth Fleet. We are returning your people safely. We mean no threat to your world. We will leave once Captain Thyma and her crew are secure." "You fought the Krex for them?" the Valoran Admiral asked. "Why? We have no alliance with Earth. We have no trade agreements. We barely know your species exists." "They called for help," Chen replied simply. That was enough. The Valoran fleet parted to let them through. As the Celestial Wanderer approached the orbital station, the human fleet began to peel away. But before they left, each ship sent a message. "This is Big Betty. It was an honor to fight beside you. Call if you need us. Lucky strike here. Stay safe out there, friends. HMS Victory III signing off. We will tell our grandchildren about this day. Bob's Shipping and Handling. We deliver anywhere, and apparently we deliver justice too." One by one, 1,500 ships sent their farewells. Then they began to jump to hyperspace, returning to their lives as traders, miners, farmers, and all the other things humans did when they were not answering distress calls. Admiral Chen's ship was the last to leave. She appeared on Thyma's screen one final time. "Captain Thyma, it has been an honor. If you ever need humanity again, just call. Someone will answer. Someone always answers." "Admiral," Thyma said, "I have to ask one more time. Why did you really do this?" "The truth." Chen was quiet for a moment. Then she smiled. "On Earth we have stories. Ancient stories about heroes and monsters. In those stories, the heroes do not always win. But they always try. They always stand up for those who cannot stand for themselves. For 50 years we have been the newcomers to space, the children among ancient civilizations. But today we got to be the heroes in someone else's story. That is worth any price." The human ship jumped to hyperspace, leaving the Celestial Wanderer at its home station. The next day, Thyma stood before the Valoran Council to give her report. The council chamber was full. Word had spread about what the humans had done. They brought everything, Thyma testified. Military ships, cargo haulers, mining vessels, even a circus ship. They fought with chaos and creativity. They boarded Krex vessels with nuclear weapons. They died singing. And when I asked them why, they said it was because we called for help. The council elder, ancient even by Valoran standards, spoke slowly. "The humans are insane." "Yes," Thyma agreed. "They are chaotic and unpredictable." "Yes. They turned a casino into a warship." "They did." The elder was quiet for a long moment. Then she made a decision that would reshape galactic politics. "Send a message to Earth. The Valoran Republic wishes to establish a formal alliance. Any species that would fight so hard for strangers is a species we want as friends, not enemies." Within days, 17 other species sent similar messages to Earth. The Altarians, the Bendathi, the Quellans, even the isolationist Zephyr Coalition. They had all seen the battle footage. They had all heard the War Master's warning. And they had all come to the same conclusion. If the humans would do that for strangers, what would they do for allies? The Galactic Council held an emergency session. The topic was humanity's classification. They were currently listed as a minor spacefaring race, barely worth noting in the grand scheme of things. The debate lasted 3 days. Some argued humans were too dangerous. Others argued they were exactly what the galaxy needed. Finally, they voted. The official classification was changed to Death World Guardians. Approach with respect. Do not threaten them or anyone under their protection. If you need help, call them. They will answer. The Krex Dominion never raided that sector of space again. Their official military doctrine was updated with a new directive. Avoid human space by at least 3 systems. Do not engage human vessels. Do not attack anyone who might have human friends. The bears might be real next time. Back on Earth, the story of the battle spread. Children played games where they pretended to be the crews who answered the call. Museums requested pieces of destroyed Krex ships to display. The phrase, "Today you, tomorrow me," was added to humanity's Space Force motto. But perhaps the most important change happened aboard the Celestial Wanderer. Captain Thyma had a human phrase painted on her ship's hull, right beside the name. It said, "Protected by humanity." We asked. They answered. 3 months later, a colony ship from the outer territories sent a distress signal. Raiders were attacking, and their own government was too far away to help. But humans were only 2 systems away. This time, 2,000 ships answered the call. The raiders took one look at the approaching fleet, which included 3 casino ships, a floating farm, 2 museums, and something that appeared to be a giant robot made of welded-together cargo containers, and immediately surrendered. They had heard the stories. They knew what humans did to those who attacked the helpless. As the rescued colonists asked why humanity had come to save them, Admiral Chen's successor gave the same answer that would echo through the galaxy for generations to come. You called for help. That is all we needed to know. And so humanity found its place among the stars, not as conquerors or empire builders, but as the ones who answered when others called, the ones who brought chaos to order, hope to the desperate, and death to those who preyed on the weak.